Double Pinch Pot Animals, Part 2!
Hello, my talented artists.
If you like this content, be sure to subscribe. Now we have to do our second pinch pot.
So we have 3 stages of clay. Let's see if you guys can remember them. What's the first stage of clay?
Yep. And what is the second stage of clay when we can bend coils and build pinch pots? Good. The third stage of clay, when it's strong and easy to attach pieces and they will hold their shape, but you cannot bend them or make a pinch pot out of it. Do you remember what that one's called? Yes. So we have slip, plastic. I don't have anything leather hard right now, but
Leather hard is the third one. The last stage of clay, it's called bone dry. All of the water has been evaporated out. It is bone dry. This is bone dry right here. These are bone dry. This little guy's bone dry. I can't add anything to it. Scoring and slipping will not help me.
I have 2 choices. I can either fire it if I think it's done, or I can smash it and put it into the slip bin with all the water and it will become slip again. Once clay is bone dry, you can choose to fire it or recycle it.
You cannot make it into slip again once you fire it.
Okay, so I have my 2 pinch pots. I might want to smooth them out a little bit more, but now I have to see if they fit, if they match up so that I can
Attach them. Let's look.
Nope, that is not going to match up. Last lesson, I introduced a technique and it will help.
A technique to shrink this rim so that I want to make this one smaller. I don't want to make this one wider. And that is, you put your thumbs inside, your fingers should be below the rim. You press your fingers towards each other and it's going to push up, and it's going, if you tilt it towards an imaginary top here, it's going to get smaller. So I'm going to just
pinch and turn, pinch and turn. We must go all the way around the rim for it to be uniform.
You'll see that it gets a little bumps and wrinkles, so you're gonna have to make sure that you continue smoothing. Smoothing isn't just for smoothing cracks, it's also for shaping. If you want the clay in a certain shape, you've got to move it in that shape. Every time you move clay, you're going to need to smooth cracks. That's the process. Let's see if these match up. I think I may have pinched it too much. Actually, yeah, I think they do match up. Looks good, and they stand nice and tall because I did that method where I was pinching the rim, just under the rim. I did that method where I was pinching just under the rim towards my fingers and then moving to the next part. What do I need to do? I want to attach these 2 pieces of clay. What do I need to do every time I attach 2 pieces of clay? That is right. We need to score and slip, and we need to make it look really, really rough.
especially if your clay has become truly leather hard. You really need to make the
scoring be deep and all over. It needs to look like gravel.
To do a good job scoring, especially if you're doing it with a fork, it takes time, folks. So make sure you're putting in the effort.
Do I only score one of these? Do I just score one? No, that's right. I have to score wherever they're going to touch, the two places wherever they're going to touch, okay? So I need to score both pieces of clay exactly where they are going to touch each other. So they can kind of, the gravel part can kind of grab on to each other. What do we do after we score the two pieces of clay thoroughly? I have my two scored pieces. What do we do next?
That's right. You can do it with your finger. You can do it with your fork. But do not smooth the slip-on. If you're using your finger, just dab it on.
Dab it on both surfaces that are going to be touching each other. And then I like to kind of mix it in by scoring a little more. If your clay is too soft, it's going to be hard to press these two pinch pots together. So you could let this one's softer than this one because this clay had more water in it. So I have to really be aware of that. So be aware of how soft your clay is. You can let it sit for a little bit while you work on other parts. If you want to, make other little parts like a little nose that sticks out or a beak or whatever you want to make. So now what do? We've scored, we've slipped. Right, we press. But make sure
that you are pressing and holding your clay pieces so that they do not get mushed out of shape.
You want to see the slip squishing out. Now, I'm going to take a tool. Well, I could even take a fork if I want.
And kind of score these pieces together.
Gently. Do not press it in.
If you do press it in, if you make a mistake or things aren't going right,
do not crumple your piece. Stop, set it down, step away, take a break, come get me.
Everybody gets feelings of being overwhelmed when they're making something.
And when you're making something, it's usually when you're making something that you have not made regularly, you're going to, of course, come across obstacles. That's just natural. So do not be surprised. Just make a note. Oh, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go get Miss Cairns. I'm going to talk to my friend if Miss Cairns is busy and wait.
Maybe I'll get a drink of water, something like that.
Everybody has big feelings sometimes. So.
Just recognize it's normal, but you don't have to act from your big feelings.
Okay, so this is
pretty smooth.
It's not perfect, but that's okay. I have created an air bubble. Does anybody know
what will happen if I put this in the kiln once it's bone dry and it's ready to go in the kiln?
Does anybody know what will happen if I have an air bubble where there's no way air can get out? It will pop. It will break. So we need to decide which side is going to be the bottom. You can kind of set it and see how it naturally sits. So if that's the way it wants to sit, I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to carve a hole.
Not too big. In the bottom. Being careful because remember your pinch pot might be plastic in the plastic stage. And that means that it can move up and down. It can change shape. You have to carve a hole because you don't want to make air pockets. An advantage to having this hole is now you can put your finger on the seam. The place where the two pinch pots come together is called a seam. And you can actually smooth the seam from the inside, and I am doing that
now. And you can see I'm kind of making a crack as I do that. If I can make that crack by pressing it, that means it was a weak spot. So that means I need to use my thumb or use a tool to continue to smooth these pieces together.
It's also a wonderful way, having a hole in the bottom,
to continue to refine your shape. Once it sits in your Ziploc bag firmly sealed, it's going to lose some of its moisture, which will actually make it easier for you to remove some of this clay debris, clay crumbs, and smooth some of the sides, smooth the walls.
Let's get started!